Hi everyone, in this video we're going to jump in and talk about Lumion and objects and how we can actually place and transform them to our own liking. Let's get started. So the first thing that we got to keep in mind is that Lumion has 4 tabs, and the one that we're going to focus on today is the objects tab. Once you're there, you got a few options. The first option is what kind of objects do you want to place, or what do you actually want to place in your scene? Is it nature, indoor, outdoor, transportation, or do you even want to import a new model from maybe TurboSquid or your own CAD software? It really depends on what you want. And once you have selected and placed that object, you can move to the right side and choose what you want to do with it, like select it, rotate it, scale it, and underneath each of these, if there is an option available, you can see it right here. Alright, so for now, let's just place an object. I'm going to double click on nature and going to click on this tree, and I can simply, going to go up a bit, reposition my camera. I can simply just click anywhere on my screen and place it. Alright, and we also have the option for mass placement. You can simply click on here, and mass placement means that you can click on point A, release your button, and click on point B, and Lumion will fill in the space between these points with the object, in this case a tree that you have selected. We can add more trees to it or different kind of objects if we want. For now, I'm going to click on plants and select maybe this peach cabbage, which does not make sense at all, and I'm going to click on the plus sign to add it. We can keep going and add multiple plants and trees to our line placement until we are fully satisfied with what we have. And we can say we want more items or less items depending on your needs for your projects, of course. We can randomize the direction, space along line, or randomize the offset from line to get exactly what we want. And if you have different heights on your map, you can click on force height on landscape, so each object gets positioned exactly where it should be on the ground. Once we're done, we click on confirm and return to our current build. We also have the option to do cluster placement. This means that we can place one object in a cluster. Gonna click on my tree again, and now you see that there are boxes, yellow boxes. This means that in these positions, Lumion is going to place a tree. So I'm just simply going to click, and you see that we got a cluster placement right there. We also have the option to paint, but before you do so, make sure you lower the density, otherwise it's going to look really ugly. So I'm just going to click and drag, and this way I can place multiple trees simply by painting it. And that's all there is to painting trees. You can also delete them by clicking on the erase, and once again clicking and dragging where you want to delete the trees that you don't need. Once we're done, we're going to click on confirm and return to build mode. And we also have the option to import a model. I'm going to click on this cottage, which I have already imported, so we are going to get an error in a second, but that's totally fine. Going to click on it, and as I said, the name is already in use. I'm going to call it version 2. Going to leave everything as is, and going to click on OK. And make sure that before you place this, you have single placement selected. Otherwise, it is going to place your object based on your last placement method which you had selected. And if you have noticed, the paint placement is not available on your imported model or on anything else except nature objects. So I'm just going to click on my screen, and we have our cottage, which is not textured at all, placed. And if you're happy with this, you can decide what you want to do. For example, you can rotate your object by clicking on the rotate tab. You can scale it depending on what size you want it to be. And a question that a lot of people have is, how do you actually move your object? Well, just make sure you got select and you have move free, and you click and hold the blue line, or excuse me, blue dot, and you simply move your object to wherever you want to move it to. You can also decide to move it just up and down, So if you have this selected, you cannot go to the left or right. The object can go only up and down. Or you can click on moving it horizontally. This way, your object will not go up and down and just move on the horizontal line. Let's say you're not really happy with this and you want it back on the ground. Well, each object has an advanced option panel, which you can find here on the right side once you have the object selected. I'm going to click on this triangle and it's going to show me all the options that I have. And if I click on place on landscape, it's going to put my object back on the landscape. And if I click on conform to landscape, depending if I got a hill, etc., it's also going to adjust its rotation so it fits as best as it can on our landscape. And that's really all there is to placing and moving an object. You can of course also type in the values that you want, even on rotations. Just double click, click backspace and type in what you want and Lumion will adjust it accordingly. Same goes for scaling. You can do it by sliding or typing in what you want to have more control. And this is actually all there is to placing and moving objects in Lumion.